Hey, what's up? This is Chris Motionless from Motionless In White, and this is Antihero Online.
First off, Vans Warped Tour 2018. This is the last cross-country run of the tour. How are you guys feeling? How are you guys kind of holding up so far throughout this?
I just posted a tweet. I've been doing like daily tweets of like day 5 of 20 shows in a row, because right now we're on like a stretch of 20 shows in a row. And today's day 19, so I pulled the good old Oregon Trail and was like, rations are low, we've lost someone to scurvy, we might not make it through the winter. We're feeling great. I mean, this is actually, I'm quite surprised in our group that I think the most shows we've ever done in a row is 10, and that was on Warped Tour in 2012, so to see we've now doubled that, we're almost at 20 and things are still feeling really good. I'm stoked about that. So, but Warped Tour as a whole, we're just so happy to be a part of the last one. It's been very special this summer.
And talking about it being special, what void do you think that Warped Tour is going to leave in the summers going forward?
We talk about this, and I've talked about this with other people. I think that's like the biggest mystery of the music world, at least this part of the music world right now, is what is going to happen, because so many bands, our band, it seems to be like an every other year kind of thing where the bands just, I wouldn't say expect to be on Warped Tour, but kind of hope to be or feel like it's likely that they would be, and it's a great way to come out and play for your fans and play for new fans, and everything's just it's just great. And now without it, I feel like unless there's something new that pops up that's similar, which might not be for a few years, it's going to actually kind of just completely shift how bands tour, because now with Warped Tour, you can only really book a tour in the spring and in the fall, and you're pretty much dead in the water if you're trying to compete with Warped Tour and the other summer bigger shows that are going on. So now it's cool, like we get to see if bands want to do headliners in the summer, and it just opens up a whole new world for bands in that way, which for better or worse, it could be great, but I think there's going to be that hole that fans will miss that Warped Tour is going to leave, and it's going to be more impacting for the fans and the bands.
And speaking of that hole, how do you think that the music industry can kind of fill that hole that Warped Tour is going to leave behind?
It's a matter of just being smart about what the fans want. It's really trying to get a sense and a read of what they want to do, because I've run into so many people that Warped Tour is one of only 1 or 2 shows that they go to every year. That people don't have the money to spend on all these different shows all year, all the time. So it's trying to just look at what the fans really want now to be a part of. And I think if there's so many other separate tours popping up, that's going to put them in a position where it's like the Cheesecake Factory menu, where you have a novel's worth of choices, and it makes it so complicated, and they're not sure which ones they want to go to. And I think it's just a matter of trying to get the best read on what the fans want. So maybe it's doing, all-day festival pop-ups, like kind of like Self-Help does, or stuff like that. I think that's the next direction that things are going in, pop-up fests.
And speaking of pop-up fests, do you think it'll lead to more package tours as well, too? Some of the bands that were together on Warped Tour might collectively come together and be like, hey, let's put our own Warped Tour on together.
Yeah, I think Self-Help is definitely leading the way and stuff like that. And you have all the Carolina Rebellions and Rock on the Ranges for the slightly different, the more active rock world, but I think we'll start seeing that with this world a lot more, in that there will be like a Rock on the Range type of scenario for a lot more Warped Tour style bands, and that would be really cool to see. I think whether or not it would be in the same time frame or if it would be in the summer, I'm not sure, but I do really think that that's probably where it's going to head. So yeah.
Getting away from Warped Tour, talking about the band a little bit, the last release came out a couple of years ago, like last year
in May, yeah. Yep.
So, are you guys working on any new music coming up?
Yeah, we've been working pretty much all year, actually, which we tried to write on Warped Tour, and it's impossible, man. It's impossible. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna spend a certain amount of hours every day working on music, and I haven't really been able to do much because it's just so much every day. And by the time your day is over, you just want to just chill and hang out and whatnot. So we are about halfway through the writing process. After this tour, we're going to get right back into it and just head into the studio as soon as possible. We want to get at it quickly instead of just kind of sitting back and waiting for the cycle to just kind of end as it usually does.
And where are you guys at musically with this new record? What have you kind of learned from the past releases? Where did you guys want to go with the new music?
I think it's gonna pretty much revolve around what we did on the recent album, Graveyard Shift. We really like where that album ended up, and it's absolutely no secret that the fans do. So to see that we love what we're doing and the fans are also supporting it like wholeheartedly. I mean, if you go to our Spotify, every single song in our top 10 except for Reincarnate is all off the new album, and it's been out for a year and a half. So that's just great indicators. That's ways that we like to get to interpret the information and the data about what's happening, and get to see what the fans like as well, and to see that they back this new, or the newest thing that we've done, just makes us want to continue in that direction. And we'll have a few I don't want to say experimental or risk takers on the album, but we'll definitely push in some different directions that we haven't before. But I think it'll be centralized around the sounds that you can find in our most recent album.
And especially with pushing yourself and challenge yourself as a musician, how important and crucial is that for the growth of the band moving forward?
I think for us, it's been a long road of doing that, pushing to find who we are, what we've wanted to do, and we've been through a lot of different phases of the band from the beginning till now. I mean, it's not really even the same band, but for us, that's always just been what we needed to do, how we were going to find ourselves, what the band absolutely needed to find the identity. And I think now that we found it, it'll be a little less of that. It'll just be, how do we write the best songs that we possibly can and beat our last album. It's always a challenge for us. It's like, how do we top the last one? How do we feel like, you know, we did it, and the last album was great, but this one's even better. And that's, as long as you're doing that as a band, then I think that you're in a good spot.
And how crucial is it to have that type of mentality to one-up yourself every time, but also the amount of pressure that it puts on yourself as well?
We're a band that definitely puts a lot of pressure on ourselves. Myself, it's definitely a perfectionist mentality, and it often leads to some suffering along the way creatively. But, you know, some of the greatest art that comes out of people is through intense suffering and dark times and just mental strain. And when you finally get that out of you after experiencing that, it's some of the most, as I said, just rewarding art and creativity that you can come up with. And I think that we'll probably experience that along the way, but that's kind of just what we do as a band, and we just embrace the pain and try to make the best out of it. Yeah.
And the last question for you that I have is, with the loss of Chester Bennington, you guys have been doing a lot of tributes to him at your shows. Has the loss of him and the influence that he had on the music industry as a whole influenced the music that you guys are starting to record and starting to write?
I think Linkin Park as a whole has been a band that we all agree on. Like, each one of us have our own separate bands that we really love, and then there's a collective group of bands that just all of us really mesh well with and we get along because of, and Linkin Park is definitely one of those bands. So I think a lot of the electronic aspects of the band and just certain vibes here and there have been influenced by Linkin Park. And even though he's obviously passed on, I don't think that that's going to change anything for us. We still really love the band, and if anything, you know, maybe we end up having a song about experiencing what it's like to lose an icon and to lose an influencing artist, and that might inspire something on our end. So yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's really awesome. You hear the rain.
Yes, I do.
What are you guys looking forward to the most about today and today's performance?
I think I really like this venue a lot personally, because the first time we were playing Warped Tour here, I want to say it was 2007, 2008. So to come back here and end Warped Tour at a place where we had started it very early on is really special to me. So I think it's just getting out there and saying goodbye to Charlotte Warped Tour, because it's been a part of our band for 10 years now. So yeah.
Right, perfect. Is there anything that I left off that you would like to touch on?
No, I think we covered some pretty good stuff.
That's awesome.
I feel like we answered our own questions about what's next for the music in the summer, the music shows and everything in the summer. So I'm glad we came to that conclusion. Pop-Up Fest.
Yeah, it's perfect.